Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining BBB for this webinar this morning. A couple of housekeeping items before we get started. If you run into any audio issues throughout the program, please try logging off and logging back in. If that doesn't work, you can always call in using the phone number on your registration email. And should you have any questions throughout this webinar, please submit them to the chat section and we will get to them at the end. Today we are excited to welcome Dawn Swick-Renshaw from Stony Creek Social Media. Dawn started Stony Creek Social Media back in 2009 and is here to talk all about building client relationships while using social media. And with that, I will turn it over to you, Dawn.
Good morning, everyone. Dawn Swick-Renshaw, Stony Creek Social Media. I've been in the social media space for 10 years. I always joke and say that I did social media before social media was cool. My friends all tell their friends that their mom has more Twitter followers than they do. So it's kind of been a fun career and very rewarding. This is my team. We've recently went through some changes and I just brought on another graduate from Western Michigan University here in Kalamazoo. And so we are fully staffed. I am very thankful for each and every one of them. Here are a few images. One thing that we do at Stony Creek is we visit with our clients on a regular basis. All these were taken pre-COVID, of course, but it's kind of an interesting job. The bottom left corner picture is I have a mold remediator. He was on a mold project that the basement looked like there was cotton candy on the wall and it was actually mold. So he wanted some content picture for their social media. So that was very, very interesting. And I said that was before all the masks started. So it's a lot of fun. We love what we do. The presentation today that I'm working on, or I'm going to present today, is hashtags to Facebook ads and everything in between. The social media world changes almost daily. I was noticing last night when I was posting for a client that now Facebook suggests hashtags, and it wasn't even 6 months ago that people were giving presentations talking about how hashtags don't work on Facebook. So they definitely work on Facebook. I get a lot of questions like, what is a hashtag? And I often refer to it as if you were going to go into a library and search for a book on a certain product, a hashtag is something that you can use to define what you're looking for. And it's interesting because I have a client who wanted to know, one, if she could buy a hashtag, and I said no, it's not like Wheel of Fortune. You can't buy a hashtag. But so she also wanted to know if she could hyperlink her hashtag so it only went to her content, because she was confused. Like if we used leadership coach for her, she wanted to know how that was advantageous for her social media strategy. If when they click on that, it brought up other people's content as well as her content. And I kind of explained that if somebody else uses that hashtag, that it will bring up her content. But hashtags are very popular and they're very, very effective. It's a good strategy to use, especially like if you're a local business. You always want to use the city, the county, sometimes the state for a hashtag. One thing that I talk about, especially on Instagram, is you can use up to 30 hashtags. And so I always say that if you can use 30, why not? The first set of hashtags I would say would be general to you and your business. So like with Stony Creek Social Media, we actually use Stony Creek Social Media, we use social media strategy, digital marketing. The second set of hashtags are going to be about whatever the photo is. Like if it's a photo, if it's a cup of coffee or a leaf blower or a piece of jewelry or food, you always want to use a hashtag that's relevant to what is on the product. The last set of hashtags are going to be popular hashtags. Like we use it a lot here in Kalamazoo. We use the hashtag Discover Kalamazoo. A lot of them we use Pure Michigan. We'll use, if it's a If it's a restaurant, we might use the hashtag foodie. So you want to make sure that you have a full range of hashtags, because that is primarily how your content is found on Instagram. The content you post on social media has the power to turn your brand into a household name and turn your followers into fans. And the way I talk about that is, you know, if I mention Oreo cookie or Tide laundry soap or Starbucks coffee, those all, when I ever say those names, they instantly resonate in your mind. With, you can see their logo, you can see their product, you can almost taste the Oreo cookie. So one thing that social media is a soft way of letting people know that you are that, like, our, with Stony Creek social media, our core values are kindness, going above and beyond for the customer, empathy, creativity, and so those hashtags are what we are. And so people know us for those, our core values, but they also know us because we drink a lot of coffee around here. Another one is black and white is our colors. Black and white polka dots has been my branding since probably 4 or 5 years ago. So when people see those, they automatically, I get tagged in a lot of coffee posts or anything black and white polka dot. And so people, whenever they see that, they automatically think of me and they automatically think of my brand. So you want to make sure that your social media is telling a story about your business and your vibe and your culture. Sometimes people will ask us to, you know, to help them with their branding, and I always tell them that, you know, we can't really define your branding. Your branding is who you are. If you are a coffee shop and you are in the middle of downtown and the interior coffee shop is very industrial looking, you really wouldn't want to go with the cozy cabin vibe, because that's just not who you are. One thing that I also talk about with fans is you want to give those people a reason to consume your content. Say it's a dentist, and we have an account that's a dentist, and does a lot with pediatric dentistry. She does a lot with the elderly and senior citizens, and she also loves animals. So we have a lot of fun with her social media, and she has patients that come in that automatically will you know, ask her about her content or tell her what they like most. But some even tell her that they, you know, when they get to work in the morning, the first thing their office does is look to see what goofy thing she posted that day. Every Halloween, she decorates her waiting room in some crazy theme, and it's usually it's escaping me now. Oh, anyway, it's just really neat. And then in the spring, she has a Alice in Wonderland party. So, you know, her vibe is what it is. She couldn't come, you know, and say that her vibe is automatically like a spa and a resort and something relaxing and calming, because that's just not who she is. Social media content strategy is something that we work on when we get a new account. We sit down and we brainstorm, when we look at their website and we look at their competitors, and we really come up with a strategy and identify what their goals are. You know, maybe they want more calls, maybe they want more website visitors, maybe they want to sell more of a certain product. They want to get a new tap into a new audience. We just need to know, you know, what are their end goals, because we can't really reach their goals if we don't know what they are. Plan your social media content. We sit down, like right now, we are planning November's content. So we're looking at Thanksgiving, and we're looking at other special days in November. The special, it's national this or national that day, and we're talking with all of our clients, and we're seeing what, you know, their plans are for November. So we kind of plan it out, and then, you know, sometimes things happen and change, and then we have to pivot, but that's just what we do. But we like to have a general plan before the month ever starts. And it also helps for, I don't know if anybody out there has had the thing where you wake up and you're like, oh my gosh, I have no idea what I'm going to post today. Well, if you have a general calendar of, if you're going to post Tuesday tips, or if you're going to post reviews or anything like that, it just gives you a general idea for the day, and so you're not scrambling last minute. And this is the content calendar I'm talking about. And so we know going into November that, on every Tuesday, we're going to post a Tuesday tip that's relevant to our audience. We also know that on Saturdays, we're going to, for the health spa that we have, we're going to post self-care Saturday tips. We're also on every Wednesday, we're going to post a backlink to a different portion of their website. So we know on that content calendar every month, we've got some pre-programmed dates in, and so we just kind of fill in around them. We promote and distribute our their content. So we might say, okay, this promotion that they're starting for Thanksgiving is going to start on this day. So we should make sure that we have an ad running from this time to this time. We want it to go on Facebook and Instagram, and then this is the version that's going to go on Twitter. We just really know ahead of time before the content goes out what we're going to plan for that day. Then also this time of the month is where we are looking at reports from last month. What did well, what didn't do well, what could we have done better, why didn't this, we look at the times, the days that it's posted versus, like morning versus night, whether it's an image or a link post. And we really look at what happened last month, and that helps us as we move into the following month, what we can do differently. Engagement. The easiest definition of social media engagement is some form of interaction between the customer and the brand, which takes place within the social networks. And that means people will talk about likes, they talk about comments, they talk about shares. It also, sometimes people will just click on the picture, and that's also considered an engagement. That just helps you know how many people actually took an action on that. People talk about, I don't want to know if someone just scrolled by it on Facebook. So there's a lot of different ways to look at engagement. Engagement is very, very important. One thing that differentiates social media from any other type of marketing is it's a two-way street. So it would like be walking into a store and you say hello to somebody and they don't answer you. So when people make a comment on social media, they're really looking for a response. So even if they put a smiley face or a thumbs up or something, you really need to acknowledge that they have taken the time out of their busy day to engage with your content. Make it a lot of fun. You can post things to ask questions, but just make sure that every single interaction that you're getting on social media, you're acknowledging it. How do you encourage engagement? Because one of the things with Facebook is, in order to be successful, you have to have three qualities, and one is that you have Facebook likes and that they're continually going up, and we do that with Facebook ads. The second one is that your posts are being engaged with. If you're putting posts out and nobody's engaging with them, that's telling Facebook that your content isn't that great. And the third one is that that you are interacting with your clients. So if somebody's commenting, you're responding, and that's why. So it's really important that you get engagement. And sometimes you will put out a post and say, what's your favorite part about the fall season, and that just encourages people. Or you post a picture and ask people what pictures in the comment, so you're automatically asking for engagement. Another thing is we have a lot of clients that we do what we call content days. So that's where we load up the camera and the video camera, and we go out and spend anywhere from 4 to 8 hours at a business location, and we take hundreds, sometimes thousands of pictures. And if we post a picture of the owner on social, it usually does 10, if not 100 times more gets more comments than anything else. People want to see real, they want to see authentic, they don't want to see stock photos. So if we use their content, we might post a picture from their location, and we have a furniture store and we'll say, this is a new chair we got in, what do you think? And that usually gets a lot of engagement. Regular communication is, posting every single day, or at least 5 or 6 times a week, and just out there, and you build relationships. One thing that social media is never meant to be is it's never meant to be a sales pitch. So if people say, well, I'm using social media as a sales tool, that's really not effective. I'm not saying that that social media doesn't generate sales. It generates sales from relationships. You build relationships with your audiences on Facebook, and then they begin to know about you, they begin to like you, and they begin to trust you. So not only will they buy from you, they will refer you to their friends. Analytics is something that has become very, very useful, especially in the last few years, as social media isn't as social as it used to be, and everyone's not seeing everyone's content. So everyone is only seeing sometimes what you're paying people to see. So social media analytics is the nose, the engagement, the reach, the exposure, those types of things. So it's the way that we collect the data and make decisions. Like I said, right now we're really scouring over September's reports and using that as we adjust September's content and October's content, and look into the future for November's content. We run a lot of reports. There's a lot of different reporting tools out there. Facebook has a report. We use, agency-wise, we use a tool called Agora Pulse, and it has really robust reporting. And so we use that, we send it out to the client, and it really helps us make decisions moving forward. Tracking your social media analytics is what we use to talk to the client about. Like we have a client who really doesn't want to invest the time or the money into original content, photos, videos, but what we're posting with the stock images and the things that we're able to create in-house aren't really working. So that's when we really sit down and talk about the investment. I always say that marketing really isn't an expense, it's an investment. So the analytics are really important, because if you're looking at creating revenue, if you're looking at creating a marketing team, if you're looking at reaching your goal, you really need to look at analytics and just see if what you're doing is working. I talk to a lot of clients, or even friends in the area that have a business, and they'll go and they'll listen to a webinar or a seminar that's given to the entire United States or the entire world. And it's really hard to get a custom strategy when you're talking about, you're giving a webinar or seminar that's to the entire United States, and a strategy that they might use in New York City would be different than one that we would use here in Michigan or Florida or California or Colorado. So you really have to look at what's working in your region, and most importantly, you have to look at what is working with your business. Like I said, Facebook, Instagram are owned by the same company, so we can use, they have the similar analytics that you can get right off the Facebook platform. Twitter has their own analytics, LinkedIn as well. And as we shift from the organic reach to paid Facebook marketing, the paid Facebook marketing is really inexpensive when you think of it, as opposed to billboards or even print marketing, radio. I'm not saying that all those aren't important. I just say that what we need to do is you make sure that you have a well-rounded marketing program. We talked about this. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. One of the things that we talk about with a new client is expectations. And the first phase that we go through when we get a new client is, how much exposure do they have to their target market, whether it's a local business or someone then can market to the entire United States or the world even. We look and see what their exposure is already. And if we're starting up from square one, like they've never had social media before, the exposure phase can last anywhere from 1 month to 3 months. And what you're doing is you're trying to reach people that have never heard of you. So for instance, we just got an account and they sell lawnmowers and leaf blowers and backhoes and such. So they've had a Facebook page for a year, but they really haven't done much with it. So we look at their demographics. It's 30 miles. They really would like to target 30 miles from their location. So when we talk about exposure, we're going to need to run some Facebook ads to people who have never heard of them, which in Facebook ads, you can do that. You can say, I want to serve this ad to people who have not liked my page. So we might start out with a 50-mile radius and then hone in a couple weeks. And we're going to look at, the demographics. Most likely someone who's 17 or 18, 19, most likely aren't going to go out and spend $1,500 for a leaf blower. So we look at the demographics by age and also by gender. So the exposure phase is we're sending out ads and content to people that have never heard of this business. As we transition into the like phase, that's when we post content that a lot of people would consider bluff. And what that is, it's, have a great Friday, or, happy Thanksgiving. Those are the like content that we do. And that's just to make people get that warm, fuzzy feeling when they see our content. When I talked about the dentist, she posts a lot with puppies and kittens because she's a huge animal lover, and that content does really well. What we might post for the small equipment company is, like now it's fall cleanup. So we might find some fun pictures about fall leaf pickup and those type of things, but it's not really going to be anything sales. We're not going to really ask for the sale. We're just going to get people to know about us and get people to like us. And that takes usually a few months before we move fully into the trust phase. And the trust phase is where you get people to understand, you'll post reviews from current clients. You'll post industry content about why this leaf blower is better than this leaf blower. You'll post content of your location that shows the products that you have in stock. We'll take pictures and videos of their repair facilities. One thing that we will do is we'll talk about how long they've been in business and what part of the community, are they active in the chamber? Are they active in the Kiwanis Club? We'll talk about the people that are behind the scenes and also the salespeople, because we all know that people do business with people. They don't do business with buildings or with a brand. So I have a good friend of mine who trademarked the phrase H2H. Talk about business to consumer, and we talk about business to business, but ultimately it's human to human. It's whether it doesn't matter what we're selling. There's probably somebody really close to us that's selling the same thing. I work with a few multi-level marketing people, and they'll talk about a bottle of skincare and saying that, I could buy this bottle of skincare from a million other people. Why should I buy it from you? and it's because of you. That's what sells, is the people. They want to know when they come through that front door who they're going to be talking to, who they're going to be working with, and that person needs to be likable and trustworthy. Social media has completely changed the landscape of human interaction. Marketers need to keep their fingers on the pulse of what's happening in their consumer arena. And that's one thing I talk about a lot with my team, is that, we might be doing social media for two pizzeria restaurants, and their content, their voice, their vibe, everything can be different. And so not only do we need to keep up with that, but we also need to keep up with what's going on. And anybody who's dealt with social media knows that it changes sometimes on an hourly basis. And we'll see that, that through COVID, they have made the online purchasing a lot easier. Instagram has, the buy now. It's helped a lot of the people in the Etsy arena, but social media changes. But you really need to remember that you look at all the numbers in the analytics, you look at, how it's moving the bottom line, but really you need to just remember that you're still dealing with a human on the other end of the device. Facebook retains its position as the leading platform for social media advertising. With over 2 billion active users, it's still the most popular network, even with usage retaining fairly static from 2016 to 18. As I look at as how it has evolved since 2018, I have sometimes a client who will call me and she'll be like, I don't understand why it's taking them so long to get back to me. And I always tell her, there's can be anywhere from 3 billion. There's 3 billion Facebook accounts. And so when you look at those staggering numbers, to try to do customer service for that many people is a huge undertaking. Facebook, if somebody comes to me and says, okay, Dawn, I want to do social media, where do you recommend? If I only want to invest in one platform, what would it be? And I always say Facebook. Facebook is where you're going to get your 13-year-old niece or nephew all the way up to your 101-year-old great grandma. So people use Facebook to keep up with friends from college or with grandchildren. I know I talk to people all the time who live in Michigan, but their kids are in Florida or New York or Denver. So it's still going to be the big man on campus. So if you're going to only invest in one platform, I recommend Facebook. LinkedIn has really changed a lot, even in the last 6 months. 590 million users, 260 million of them active on a monthly basis. People ask me, what's the difference between Facebook and LinkedIn? LinkedIn is more of a business to business platform. I say it's most likely where you're going to find people with a job, people looking for jobs. I see that they just opened up LinkedIn stories. I really never thought that would happen, but stories have become hugely popular over the last 6 months. Twitter is probably one of the platforms that's most misunderstood. With Twitter, you've got 260 characters when you tweet, and people will be like, I wish they would open it up so where I could have as many characters as I want. And I'm like, well, then it would not be Twitter, it would be Facebook. And whether you like it or don't like it, the president has really brought Twitter use to a new level. People need to understand that when you post on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. Your post goes through what's called an algorithm, and so that determines who's going to see the content based on their activity. With Twitter, whatever is tweeted is seen. So like the average life of a Facebook post can be anywhere from 4 days to a week. The average life expectancy of a tweet is about 8 seconds. So it's busy. You're going to get instant content, like through a sporting event or a debate or anything like that. Twitter gets pretty active fast just because people can talk in real time. Instagram, it's interesting when you think that more than 100 million photos and videos are loaded every single day. Instagram used to be the platform for young people, and they thought, oh well, that's Instagram is only for teenagers. And as Facebook has become a little more political and a little more controversial, people are more likely to say something on Facebook and debate it. Instagram is just beautiful pictures. That's what it's supposed to be. People, if I'm at an appointment and I'm a few minutes earlier when I wake up in the morning and I have my coffee, I will just kind of scroll through Instagram and see, what my friends are posting, beautiful photos. Like if you go to an event and you take 15 photos, you might put all 15 of those photos on Facebook, but you're not going to put all 15 of them. You might put 4 or 5. Even sometimes what I try to do is I will try to pick the best image that describes, what the event I was at or what was happening, and take a picture and load up just that one picture. It just represents, okay, that she went to this event and this is the picture that she deemed as the best one. Instagram is the platform where you can use up to 30 hashtags. I recommend that you use probably about 25 to 28 of them, because if somebody comments using a hashtag and you've used all 30 hashtags just for that post, that includes the actual post and that includes any comments that are made. Another thing that people talk about with Instagram, probably the most asked question I get from business owners is, should I put the hashtags in the body of the post or should I put them in the first comment? And I have contact with and have become very good friends with the girl who wrote Instagram for Dummies, and she tells me that you just put those hashtags right in the body of the post. A lot of times people will space with dots or lines or something to separate them from the text on the Instagram photo itself. But I do like to put those hashtags. I've done experiments where we'll post an image with no hashtags and we'll post one with 25 hashtags. The one with no hashtags will get maybe 1 like. Sometimes it gets no likes. Then the one with 30 hashtags will get 40 likes. So hashtags are really important on Instagram. And like I said, I talked earlier about the hashtag strategy, and it's really, really interesting. Like I'll have a client and they'll be like, well, we want to use this hashtag or that hashtag, and I'll look, and that hashtag that they're talking about might already have a following of people that probably isn't going to be the group of people that they want following them. So it's more than just grabbing a hashtag and hoping for the best. Consumer reviews have become really, really important, I would say, in the last few years. But even with COVID, as people are getting to-go food and restaurants are struggling to adjust to their new normal, I've seen quite a few food groups pop up on Facebook, and someone will say, I'm going to dinner and I want pizza. What do you recommend? So people are looking at reviews, people are looking at recommendations, and it really does change the way people do business. So it used to be that people could rely on a website or people could rely on just seeing a store or seeing a restaurant and going in, and now we've become very sensitive to what our friends and family do. Used to be that if you were going to buy a pair of tennis shoes, you got Michael Jordan shoes, or if you're going to buy a car, you looked at some celebrity that had bought that car. As consumers, we've become very cynical, and so we realize that Michael Jordan made money from those shoes, and probably the actor or actress that was endorsing that car probably got paid to do so. So we're going to rely more on what are called micro influencers, and those micro influencers are your friends, your family, your relatives. If your best friend or your mom or your aunt or your sister or your brother said that you should go to this restaurant to eat dinner, but their website, the website of another restaurant says that you should go there, you're more than likely going to trust your friends, your relatives, somebody that you know, someone who has micro influenced you to go and make a purchase at that business. So what we look for with reviews is, if you know that you've just made a customer really happy, the best thing to do right then and there is to help them, lead them through the process of giving you a review. We have a roofing company, and a lot of times the business owner will be standing out in the yard and they'll be looking at their new roof and they're very happy, and the business owner will say, hey, could you give me a review? And they're like, oh yeah, I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll do it later, I'll do it. And it's not that person doesn't intend to do it. Life happens, they just get busy. We're all busier now than ever. So what I have trained them to do is, they're like, hey, do you have your phone? Oh yeah, my phone's right here. I'm gonna send you a link, and if you click on that link, I can lead you through the process. And they're more likely to leave a review and have a positive experience because you took the time to help them help you. So reviews at the time that the customer is happy is the best time to get those. Recent research showed that positive online reviews are the most important factor for who consumers considering a purchase. It is amazing. Like I said, we used to rely on TV commercials or radio commercials to do business, and now that we can have contact with all of our social media presence at once. I see it probably 100 times a day where someone would be like, I'm looking for a lawn service, I'm looking for a restaurant, I'm looking for a painter, I'm looking for a doctor, I'm looking for a dentist. And that's when they might go to your website, but your website is what you say about you. So we have to be careful with that. Reviews are what other people say about you. And it's going to happen where you might get a negative review, or you might get somebody that's not really happy. And so when you respond to that review, like if somebody, we had an account in Denver, Colorado, and it was a dentist office, and his office was right downtown and parking was very limited. So somebody left a review that they loved the dentist, they loved his staff, they loved the office, they loved everything. The only thing they weren't crazy about was the parking. Well, that really doesn't speak against the doctor, the staff, or anything to do that. That is what it is. So you just respond back, and you could say, thank you for taking the time to give us this review, and we appreciate your business. We look forward to seeing you soon. And the next time you're in, let us know. And if you park in the ramp that's close to our office, we will validate your parking. Just try to turn it back into a positive situation. More than 2 billion people use Facebook every month. So no matter what kind of audience you want to reach, you'll find them there. We talk about that with prospective clients. They'll be like, well, I don't think my target market is on Facebook. And most likely they are. And like I said, we at Stony Creek, we deal with Facebook, Instagram, Google My Business, LinkedIn, Twitter. And we actually have a few Pinterest accounts. So it's most likely we're going to find them. And I still, like I said before, that Facebook is still going to be the biggest bang for your buck, and that's a great place to start. 1.6 billion people worldwide are connected to a small business on Facebook. and that's where you're going to talk about the people that the likes or the followers on your Facebook page. Those become very useful, especially when you are creating a lookalike audience in Facebook ads, or you can target to friends of friends. So there's a lot of ways that you can use those, the people that like your account, for your benefit. Facebook ads, we spend about, between Facebook and Google ads, we spend about $3,000 a day here at Stony Creek. Facebook ads can be as inexpensive as, you know, $15 or $20 a month, all the way up to, you know, $5,000 or $10,000 a month, depending on what their budget is. The first thing you want to do is choose the objective. Do you want to get more followers on your account? Do you want them to go to your website? Do you want them to call you? Do you want them to come in the store? So you have to figure out what exactly you're looking for, and then you have to select your audience. And that's where we'll talk about, you know, do they live? Do they work? Are they active on their social media within 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 miles radius of your business? We can also do counties. I've recently been working on a couple political candidates, and so like they're only active in certain counties, so you can separate it by counties. You can do states. We also had another account that liked to work with people that were on lakes, so we were able to drop pins and only market to the people that lived on those lakes. So you can really select your audience down to, you know, what you're wanting to, who you're wanting to reach. Decide, okay, that, you know, like the account that was working on the lakes, well, the lakes, it's only effective to them up through probably, we're looking at the middle of November, and then it's a marina, so then they're not really going to want to be active again until probably March, when people start thinking about getting their boats. So, you know, we want to run those ads to the people on the lake, but we only want to run them at certain times. And select your budget. I definitely recommend doing some A/B testing and deciding, this is, for this amount of money I can reach this many people. So you're saying, okay, in this general area, probably your audience is going to consist of 100,000 people. Well, you wouldn't want to spend money and reach 500,000 people if your target audience only contains 100,000 people. And pick a format. Do you want it to be on just Facebook? Do you want it to be on Facebook and Instagram? Do you want it to be on Facebook, Instagram, Marketplace? Do you want it to go to WhatsApp? There's different ways. Do you want Twitter ads? Do you want LinkedIn ads? How, you know, what do you want to reach? What is your goal? Where are those people living? Place your order. Facebook through COVID has been pretty good. They were really slow early on, but they were able to adjust. And so now when you place an order on Facebook, it has to be approved. It has to make sure that it is I lost train of thought. It complies with Facebook's terms of service. Once the ad is running, we usually let them run for 3 or 4 days, and then we'll go in and look and see if maybe by changing part of the text or changing the image or adjusting the budget or the audience, how we can optimize that ad. And sometimes we'll run 3 or 4 ads at the same time with the same goal, and we can see that one performs better than the other. Google ads are different from Facebook ads, and the way I talk about those is Facebook ads, you're reaching people that might not know that they need your services or your product, where Google ads, you're going to run those to people who are searching for your product. So there are 2 different types of audience. One is on Facebook, you're going to be able to gently remind people what you do, and so they might not even know that they need your product or service. Google is where someone is actually typing in, you know, lawn service in Lansing, Michigan. So we have to make sure that we're covering both of our bases and not relying on just Facebook or just Google ads. Great branding shows customers what makes you, you. Branding tells your story in an instant. Branding builds an emotional connection. Branding builds confidence. Great branding gives you a purpose and a direction. Branding connects you, your values, to like-minded audience. Branding leads you to new directions too. Great branding delivers results. Branding generates growth. Branding creates a positive employee morale. Branding unites an audience. Never underestimate the importance of branding. Define your personal brand. Don't let it define you. I talked earlier about the micro influencers, and make sure that your branding represents your location, your store, your website, whatever you have. Make sure that when people see your content on social media, that when they visit your website, there's a familiarity where they know that they've reached the right location. That concludes my presentation. However, I would love to answer any questions that you might have.
All right, so we do have a couple questions. Someone was interested to know how big your staff is.
Right now, I have a team of 4 people. I just recently I had 7. I had a couple part-time college students that had graduated from college recently and were going off to pursue what they went to college for. So I just hired, so I have 2 full-time staff members myself, and then I have a part-time person that does contract work.
All right, awesome. And then someone wanted to know more about the social analytics tool you talked about, like how much it costs.
For how much it costs for like the Facebook ads, or how much it costs
No,
for what we do?
You talked about a specific social media reporting tool that your company uses.
Oh, Agora Pulse, and it's based on how many platforms that you have. I'm thinking that the basic package for like a single, like a business owner, like I said, we're an agency, so we spend over $1,000 a month for our package, but I have helped people set it up, and I'm thinking it's just under $100 a month. But it does everything. You're able to post from there. You're able to listen for your brand. You're able to respond to incoming messages. You're able to get the reporting.
All right. And then someone said you talked about theme days like Tip Tuesdays. What do you do if that's not seeing the engagement you want? How do you know when it's time to try something different?
Like I said, we look at it every single month, and we have those theme days. And sometimes it's just one of the reasons why we use theme days is like Tip Tuesday. Tip Tuesday is a huge hashtag in the social media world. So if you post a tip and you use the hash Tuesday tips or Tip Tuesday, Tuesday's tip of the day, it will get pulled into that river of hashtag that goes through the social media, and it's actually our most popular day. But you really have to experiment. Like if you're posting like Fun Friday and it's not working, you might change to we have some accounts that are Fun Friday, but one that's really popular with our clients is Back Friday. And so we have a heating and cooling business, and we posted it a few weeks ago, and it was Back Friday about, you know, furnace filters and why you need to change them and what the benefit of changing them in. And we had just posted it with a picture of a really dirty furnace filter, and it just blew up. And a couple other ones, we have a car repair place, and we post about you know, facts about cars. And so you really just have to look at it individually, and we might try it for, you know, a couple months, and then we might try to test it. Like one Friday we'll post Friday facts, and then the next Friday we might post Fun Friday. and just see what works best. And it's really difficult to say because sometimes it's just a picture that doesn't resonate with people. Sometimes the text doesn't catch their attention. So we really have to try a lot of different things.
Okay, awesome. And kind of on that same note, if you find that one of your theme days is working really well, um, do you keep that going for as long as possible, or should you eventually try something different?
Um, we will keep going as long as it's working. We might every now and then, like we have an account that we post Monday motivation, and it does really well, but it doesn't do really well if you post it every Monday. So we have it, we'll rotate like motivational Monday, make ahead Monday, make it happen Monday.
Mm,
So we will definitely look and see what's happening. So that's how the content calendar is really effective because we can say, okay, this Monday we're going to post motivational tips. This Monday we're going to post make ahead recipes, and this Monday we're going to post a really fun picture, make it happen. And we also look at what time of the day those are posted.
awesome. Is there any specific tool you use to create your content calendars?
We actually use Google Calendar. It's free. It's been very effective because I can share it with that Google Calendar with the account manager, and we can also share that with the client, so the client can go in and make changes. We can make changes, and again, my favorite thing is it's free.
And then someone asked if you could just share your contact information.
Oh yeah, let me go back to that. My email address, that's my phone number. That's our website. My email address is just dawn at stonycreeksocialmedia.com.
Perfect.
We
And
do offer consulting as well.
okay.
Like if somebody, they have a social media team and they just, we have a lot of clients that we meet with on a monthly basis and just go over. And so they will create their own content calendar and they'll bring in their reports and we'll say, okay, this is what we did last month. This worked, this didn't work. And then they go out and they create their own content.
Awesome. That's all the question I'm seeing at the moment. Everybody will be receiving a recording of this webinar. If you have any further questions, you can contact Dawn directly or email myself. I am agibbard at easternmichiganbbb.org. And like I said, you will be receiving a recording of this tomorrow. So if we don't have any more questions, we can sign off for today. Thank you so much for doing this for us, Dawn. We really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity. As you probably can tell, I love talking about social media.
We love listening. It was really informative. Like I said, we appreciate it.
Awesome.
All right, take care, everybody.